and compared to orange black. If there was one dish that I would eat every day of my life, this would probably be ratatouille. You would probably notice that I really like the bright colors. I like the red, I like the yellow, I like the green, I like it all together. And the brighter my dish is, the more I like it. So this is why ratatouille is one of my top choices when it comes to cooking. It's high in fiber, it's high in antioxidants, it's also very, very flavorful. It kind of depends on the kind of spices you add as well, and I think it suits pretty much everyone. You should check your incompatibility with different ratatouille components. Overall, it's a really nice spring and summer dish, which is quite easy to make. I used to make ratatouille just in an oven all together, but it loses some flavor, to be honest. So this recipe I found to be the best one in the world. It just starts with cooking the spices slowly, cooking the aromatics, garlic, onion together, and then adding the tomatoes, adding the aubergine, adding the squash and zucchini after they've been roasted a little bit, so they do maintain this good flavor and this really nice texture. So let's see it all get chopped. One eggplant or one aubergine. There is one zucchini, the green zucchini, and one yellow zucchini, which is it the same as yellow squash? You need bell pepper, preferably red bell pepper, but it doesn't really matter. Red bell pepper is just a little bit sweeter than the green bell peppers because they are more ripe. So this is the reason for their sweetness, and this is the reason for the difference in flavor. So there we have it. These are the main ingredients, and here we have also onion and garlic, of course. I'm going to be using the diced tomatoes. Diced tomatoes are just so nice when they're canned, just because they are more ripe than normal tomatoes that you get in a store, at least in my case. If you have some nice tomatoes available, seasonal, from the farmer's market, use those. Those are going to be just fine. But in my case, I do prefer to use diced tomatoes. They're more flavorful, as I already mentioned. So this is a tip from me to you. If you're struggling with tomatoes, try just cooking something with already canned diced tomatoes. And of course, you know what we start with. We start with prepping the things so we don't hustle with them while we are cooking in the process. So we start with chopping the onion, and like one onion is enough. It depends on how much you like onions. I use white onions. You can also use brown or purple onions. It doesn't matter. I do use a garlic press on garlic. I add the aromatics such as oregano. I add spices like chili flakes. Here I'm using the liquid spices, the oregano and the basil in its liquid form. It's pretty much the same as using fresh spices. However, they're packaged more conveniently for me personally. They do contain something else. It's not just pure oregano and not pure basil, but lazy is me, so I do have them in the liquid form. They do maintain the freshness for a little bit longer because normally I don't cook a whole basil batch or whatever. So you can take just a bunch of basil and just oregano, the dried oregano, and it will work just fine. And we add some olive oil. And let the chop begin. So I just dice an aubergine, I'll dice squash, which is zucchini, yellow and green zucchini. I'll just dice them, and I'll make my best not to chop my fingers off. Thank you, Gordon Ramsay, for this technique. Look how there is no seeds inside the bell peppers, almost. So it's really easy to dice them. You don't have any waste left. That's just amazing. Here is the perfect ratatouille tip. Like, we have this aubergine in a separate bowl, and we have the rest of the veggies, which are the zucchini, the yellow zucchini, and the bell peppers separately. So we set them in two separate trays, or here what I did is I just separated them by the foil, because I don't have 2 containers, I just have like one tray, that's it. So here we go, we just separate those 2 and we cook them a different amount of time, because aubergines, they actually are softer, so they need a little bit less time to get cooked. And we will add them to tomatoes a little bit later in the process. We like them to start cooking in a preheated oven a little bit earlier than the tomatoes and the garlic and the onions, all other aromatics. So regarding the oil, you can be adding less or more oil, or given your dietary preferences. If you're on a low-fat diet, just try to put a little bit less oil on the foil, but maybe stir the aubergines and other vegetables a little bit more frequently. As for frying the onion and the garlic, you can pretty much avoid using oil there. Just add a little bit of water, and I'll add a little bit of more, and just saute it in water a little bit instead of frying them. They won't be as crispy, but they're not getting crispy anyway, so you'll be good. Do what you need to do. Try to make it work for you. By now, the veggies have spent around 15 minutes in the oven, and we need to toss them a little bit. They're getting softer, and you'll notice that the eggplants are actually quite a bit softer compared to the zucchini. So meanwhile, we sent the veggies back into the oven for around 10 minutes. We add just garlic and tomato paste into the onion and mix it really, really well to get this flavor. And after the 10 minutes, it's time for the eggplant to come out. We just take it out and add it into the mixture, and we send the rest of the veggies back into the oven so they get a little bit more cooked for around 15 minutes. After 10 or 15 minutes have passed, we just take out the rest of the veggies and toss them a little bit, scrape them from the foil and add them into the mixture. Just notice how sturdy they are. They keep the texture, which is really, really nice, and it's different from when you just try to bake the ratatouille or roast the ratatouille inside the oven. And look at those colors, like look at those flavors. I started noticing that most of my dishes are just red and colorful and green and yellow inside, but it's still so pretty. It makes me so happy to look at it. So after the veggies have melted together for around 5 minutes, we can add the rest of the aromatics, the basil, the oregano, and the chili flakes, and then the oil, and we mix it together and let it sit for the next 5 minutes so it fuses together and we get this wonderful flavor. So guys, there you have it, an amazing and perfectly cooked summer and spring dish. Very seasonal, very nice, very fresh, and very light, full of fiber, filled with goodness. I hope you like it as much as I do, or probably with more, because it's truly amazing. And I see you all next time.